Hey everybody, Matt Johnston here, Matt the Lawyer, and we are back talking about accommodations to employer mandated COVID-19 vaccinations. Before we get started, if you would be so kind as to click the little subscribe button that you see down there below, and if you want to get a notification that we have new content available, click the little bell and you will get such a notification. So in the past couple of videos, I've been talking about accommodations for employees who are subject to mandatory vaccination policies by their employer and some of the exceptions that are available. Obviously, there's medical exceptions that may require an employee to not get a vaccination, and there's also sincerely held religious belief exceptions. And whenever you start having mandated activity, whenever you start getting things that are requiring exceptions, you start to get a lot of very interesting things happening, and the interwebs are always abuzz with various sorts of scams and things to get away with various things. And one of the employment law blogs that I follow had a story about a scam that has been starting out on the West Coast that is sort of picking up some steam, and you may start seeing it in your place of employment. So, one of the difficulties with a sincerely held religious belief is that it does not necessarily have to be grounded in a particular religious practice. It can simply be a moral or ethical view of what's right and wrong that is held with the same level of conviction as another religious belief. So there is a scam that has been developed whereby somebody who's looking to avoid mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policies by their employer can get a religious exemption package. The basic package has a personalized exemption letter and a signed attestation of faith from somebody named Pastor David, plus some additional supporting documents. So remember when I said it didn't have to be a religious exemption doesn't have to be grounded in a particular faith? Well, this is one of those things that is going to be looking to get around that. An attestation of faith, I'd be really interested to see what that says, but just be mindful that these things are out there. There's also a higher end version where you can get some additional counseling from Pastor David and his colleagues. So what does this mean for employers? Well, if you get a religious accommodation from somebody, or a request from somebody for a religious accommodation, and you feel like it's BS, chances are it's going to be BS. However, you are still obligated as an employer to engage in the dialogue and to discuss potential accommodations. One of those accommodations, as I said before, might be, I want to work from home. Well, if you are allowing an employee to work from home, but everybody else has to come in, you're going to get some questions. And the problem is you can't really answer those questions. The Americans with Disabilities Act prohibits employers from discussing whether somebody has received an accommodation. But if you've got 15 workers in the office and you've got one person working at home, those other 15 people are going to go, why is that person working at home? And it gets even more complicated if you have said, well, this person's working at home and somebody else has the exact same job, but they're expected to be in the office. So you're going to run into some problems, and this is where it's going to be important to consult with legal counsel. Have an idea of what your response is going to be. Plan that response. If you have some people who are subject to an exemption or some sort of accommodation, there are going to be questions by other employees, and you need to have a plan for responding to those matters. As an employer, you are prohibited from discussing both somebody's religious exemption or accommodation and or their medical accommodation. You're not supposed to discuss that. You can't discuss that, but you need to have a plan for dealing with it. In the meantime, if you see something from Pastor David that an employee has given you, I would really love to see it. if for no other reason, then this is one of the things that lawyers like to sit on the sidelines with their popcorn and see what's going on. But be mindful, if you are the employer who's received this one, it's best to contact legal counsel and start working your way through the process. Legal counsel can help guide you. It can help you investigate the veracity of these religious claims and whether or not they are sincerely held. So, yeah, I just wanted to share the little information about the scam. Be mindful, keep an eye out. I'm sure Pastor David is not going to be the only scam artist out there. And right now, Pastor David is only an allegedly scam artist, so let me be clear about that. But be mindful of these things. Be skeptical, but follow procedure. Okay? In the meantime, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, we got that little button right there. If you want to see other content, we got that little button right there. And in the meantime, go outside and watch some live soccer. I will speak to y'all later. Bye-bye.